Hi, David here again from Aussie Blokes Talk. And this is all about happiness. And this is fifth step, day 5, all about happiness. Now, on day 2, we looked at what things you might have that would stop you being happy or feeling happy. And one of the major ones I know of in my practice when I'm working with people is anxiety. So if you have anxiety, chances are there are times when you won't be happy because of the anxiety. Now, what can you do about that? Well, the beautiful thing is you can do something about that. And we'll talk more about that as we go along. The important thing is to understand that anxiety always has a cause. You may not know at this stage what the cause is, or you might. It doesn't really matter, because if you don't know how to overcome the anxiety, then knowing the cause doesn't help. It's only by knowing the cause and how to overcome it that you can actually overcome anxiety. Now, the symptoms of anxiety are those things which can really affect you. So I'm just going to read a little list out that I have on one of the stress evaluation questionnaires that I get people to fill out. So nervousness is one. Anxiety for no reason, of course, is top one. Irritability for no reason is also about anxiety. Pounding heart, excessive sweating, regular stomach upsets, muscle tension, shortness of breath, insomnia. So many people don't sleep because underlying everything else, there's anxiety in their life. Knotted stomach. You know, I had a time, or I've had times where my stomach has been so knotted I could hardly breathe from the anxiety that I was feeling. Pain in the chest, pain in the gut, excessive worry, restlessness. You know, the people who can't sit still, the people who can't stop, that's all anxiety. Now, the difficult thing is it can be coming from a number of different causes, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go along. Nervous bowel and nervous bladder, you know, name is basically descriptive. Outbursts of anger can be because of anxiety. Because if somebody is anxious and their go-to methodology is anger when they get anxious in order to feel better, they will come out with anger. And all of these things have to be taken into account. So when I'm working with someone with anxiety, my goal is to help them to move through the anxiety, to find out what the cause is. And the interesting thing is the cause can be any one of 4 things as an overall picture. So it can be physical, it can be mental, it can be emotional, and it can be spiritual. And if you don't know what causes your anxiety, if you have anxiety, that is, and it's anxiety that is stopping you from being happy and feeling happy, then chances are you won't be able to conquer your anxiety. You can do mindfulness, you can do breathing, you can do all of these techniques, but the true way to overcome anxiety, especially deep-seated anxiety, is to find the cause. So you can have a physical cause. Your blood sugar might be out of balance. You know, there's a whole list of symptoms of the blood sugar being out of balance. Nervousness, irritability, exhaustion, faintness, dizziness, depression, vertigo, dizziness, drowsiness, headaches, digestive disturbances, forgetfulness, constant worrying, unprovoked anxieties, insomnia. Do they sound familiar to you? If they do, they're all symptoms of anxiety. You know, if you're anxious and you continue being anxious, you can become depressed because you're anxious. That's why depression's in that list. All of those symptoms are symptoms which can be overcome when you know how. So, because I'm a holistic practitioner, I'm looking at the physical, I'm looking at the mental, I'm looking at the emotional, I'm looking at the spiritual. And for the physical, one of the major causes of anxiety is when the blood sugar drops. Now, unfortunately, medically, the treatment for that is not always the greatest. It's not diabetes, it's just a blood sugar drop. When the blood sugar drops, the oxygen and glucose to your brain drops. When the oxygen and glucose to your brain drops, you won't be able to think, you can get jittery, you can go into a panic attack. All these different types of conditions can happen on that list that signify you're in anxiety. But it's anxiety because your brain thinks you're going to die because it doesn't have enough fuel. The brain uses somewhere between 25 to 30% of the available fuel that your body has. So if your energy is low, then the brain is going to run out of fuel and crash anytime. And so if you're not eating properly for yourself, if the food that you are choosing to eat is not the right food for your body, then you can build up tremendous anxiety within. And then the anxiety feeds the anxiety. You know, I had a person who was having panic attacks. They didn't eat. They went to the shopping center. They had a panic attack at the shopping center. The anxiety was so crashing, they couldn't breathe. They had to get out of the shopping center to get out into fresh air. They felt this crushing weight coming on them. Their chest was so tight, they didn't know what to do. And all of it was caused because their blood sugar crashed. Your body cannot survive on nothing. And if you give it a sweet food, then what happens is the sweet food pushes the blood sugar too high, and then through a sequence of events, everything drops too low. It doesn't work. It's all about balance. So how do you balance your blood sugar? Well, it's a simple process. You've got to have the right foods. You have to know the right foods to eat at the right time of day to balance your blood sugar. Plus, usually, you'll improve further if you have supplements that are going to help your body work more effectively. So that's the combination that we work with in holistic practice. Hi, Tracy. Hope you're enjoying what I'm presenting, and catch up with you again soon. Just Tracy's watching. So once the anxiety is calmed by dealing with the blood sugar, then the practitioner, such as myself, can look at other issues why the anxiety might be there. There can be mental issues, as in the brain's going round and round and round. It's not stopping because there's so much energy being used by the brain. It can be all of these other issues going on that haven't been dealt with yet. As in, there was a childhood issue. As a child, I got anxious. As a child, I got hurt. As a child, I was abused, and I got anxious because of the abuse. You know, if a child falls off a bike and hurts themselves, that's one thing. If they're then treated respectfully by their mother or father and say, yeah, look, it happens, you'll get better, blah, blah. Everything works better in the child's life. But if the child is admonished for falling off the bike, or they're not able to speak up because they've been abused, or something else has happened to them and they can't tell their parents because their parents are dysfunctional in some way, and they don't feel that they are safe to tell their parents because they'll get punished if they do, then anxiety can be created just by that. The important thing is to understand that if anxiety is interfering with your happiness, it can have multiple causes. It can have something that happened back in your childhood, your teenage years, happened in your relationships, or happened at work. So many people are bullied at work, and that creates more anxiety about going to work. Now, someone who says, I was happy until I started work, usually you will find the reason somewhere in what happened to them when they went to work. Because anxiety causes a shortness of breath, it causes a shutting down of the body system, the body goes out of flow, and the energy of the body is compromised. And the anxiety builds within the system every time somebody thinks about going back to work. Now, if that's you, there's simple ways of overcoming that. But it's a process, it's not a magic cure-all. It's a process. So anxiety as one of the major causes of lack of happiness in someone's life is totally treatable. It's not only treatable, I hate to use the word fixable, but it's fixable. All the practitioner has to do is find the cause and then have the skills to release the cause. If the skills aren't there to release the cause, all that can happen is that you're going to be talking about it a lot, but you might not resolve it. So I have clients come to me who have talked about their anxiety over and over and over again. And they've talked about it until they're blue in the face almost, but it's never resolved it. I've had people come to me who've been to 30 practitioners, and because it's only been talk therapy, it hasn't got to the depths that it needs to go to. That's the important thing. If you can find the cause of the anxiety, physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, then chances are you can overcome that cause with the right skills. So remember, last week we talked about skills. This is where skills come in. If you don't have those skills and you have an intention to be happiness and anxiety is stopping your happiness, then you need to know how to develop those skills. And at Aussie Blokes Talk, what we're about is awakening you to the opportunities that you have to find those skills. We teach those skills. We help you to grow because our motto is awaken, action, helping you to go into action to find out what it is that's causing the problems in the first place. And then through that, resolving those problems and coming to growth. Because I believe all life is about learning and growing. And until we seize those opportunities that come our way, it's very difficult to know how to deal with a lack of happiness because it can cover so many different things. Now, in the next 3 weeks, because we've already done 1 week of a 4-week program, in the next 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about other issues which will be interfering with your happiness if that's the case. Because my belief is, it is possible for you to be happy. My belief is that there are things you can do to overcome those things which are stopping you from being happy. And I don't really care what it is, basically, because I look at your biochemistry, I look at your mental health, I look at your physical health, I look at all the different issues, your emotional health and your spiritual health, all the different issues that may be stopping you from being happy, and help you resolve every piece of that as we go through the process and help you step along the way. Because the only thing lacking in your life, and I believe this implicitly, the only thing lacking in your life is the lack of skills that are going to help you to get to happiness. And once you start to look at it from the point of view that I don't have the skills, where can I go to get those skills? Then we are here at Aussie Blokes Talk and we're here to help you. So I'll be posting this on a couple of other pages. If you see this later, it's a replay. Happy for you to comment. I'll check in, find out any questions you might have, and we're happy to answer those questions online the next day. So if anybody has any questions, please make the comments, make the questions, and if you like this, like the videos and like our page, Aussie Blokes Talk. Thanks everyone, this is David from Aussie Blokes Talk, signing off for today, the day 5 of How to Come to Happiness.